gotta press your dad.
WOVU LP Cleveland.
WOVU 95.9 FM, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Her in the Huddle, WOVU's Look Sport, featuring the First Lady of Sports, Rachel Hill.
Hey, what's up? This is your girl, Rachel Hill. This is Her in the Huddle on WOVU, a 95.9 FM. And you know what's up? It is Monday, and we're going to give you some sports talk that's going to be real, raw, and uncut. And with me today, I have my boy who's usually here with me on Wednesday. Cleveland K could not make it today. Marshawn Powers, what is up with you, Mr. Powers? How you doing today, sir?
Nothing much, man. Excited to be here on a Monday, actually.
Yeah. So Monday morning, Monday afternoon, start of the work week.
Yeah. So, I'm blessed with the opportunity to be able to start my week off actually talking some sports. Anytime the Browns win on a Sunday, that's always a good start of the week. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, but even though it's a Monday, I'm happy and glad to have you here. Thank you so much. Always remember that you can always give us a call if you want to discuss some sports at 216-271-059. You can listen to us online at WOVU.org. You can also download that WOVU app so you can take your favorite personality with you on the go. And then also, too, you can kick it with us on StreamYard, because we broadcast live on StreamYard, so you can talk with us. You can watch the show live on Facebook. And also today, we do have a special guest. We do have Miss Natalie Turk from Sports Illustrated, who is joining us via StreamYard. Miss Natalie Turk, how you doing today?
Hey, Rachel, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
Just trying to recover. We had a busy little, past few days covering the Cleveland baseball team, so in the Little League Classic, so I'm a little tired.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. It's the Cleveland baseball team, and that's right. And they did have a regular season game at the Little League Classic against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I think that's how it's pronounced. And we did actually go and attend that game, and it was a great event. But Natalie, going into that, they had a series. I just drew a blank about which team that they had a series about, which we was just discussing. Huh?
I said, yeah, I remember that. We were like, who was that? Minnesota, yep.
Yes, Minnesota, thank you. Where they lost 2 out of 3. Unfortunately, Max Kepler was an Indians killer. He always has 2 home runs, pretty much off of starting pitching, pretty much off of first pitches actually thrown. So Max has been an Indians killer for us for a long time. So they came out of that series. Now, I told you last week that my co-host Marshawn Powers said that if the Indians go 28-12, that they have a chance possibly to play for the wild card. So far, they have got 3 wins. So they are at 25-12 without a loss. What are your thoughts about the postseason chances now? Because Marshawn, I did discuss this with Natalie about what you said. And she said she can see that, but we don't know if we can see the Cleveland Indians winning the Cleveland baseball team winning those 28 out of 28-12, but they have went 25-12 so far. Right. So I'll take that. So what are your thoughts about coming out of that series facing the Angels, how they're looking right now?
Well, I mean, it obviously what he said, maybe provided some good luck for them, because I think I kind of laughed for a moment. Not that it wasn't a serious thing. It's just I kind of thought, have we watched them play lately? Because I don't know, they have been struggling, but it's like they have ups and downs. So I feel really good about how they've looked against the Angels, and then with the series, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3-game series with the Rangers coming up. I like their chances with the Rangers. And then they'll host Boston in Cleveland, the Red Sox, this weekend. So, that'll be a challenge for them. But Boston's, not the Boston of, long ago, really now. So I always am hopeful. I always say there's a chance till, I haven't been as hopeful the past month that they were going to actually be able to be any type of contender for the wild card. But I like what he's thinking. I like where his head's at with this 25 games. So, I would love to see that happen.
Yeah.
But I have a
What do you?
big but that I'm putting there. I don't know. If everything falls into place, offense can kind of stay even, and our pitching, can just not crumble. The bullpen, has been having a little bit of struggles, and they may have a chance with that.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, can you talk about the pitching a little bit? You've obviously been getting some great pitching from Tristan, who almost went 8 innings the other night. And then you had some excellent pitching from Cal Quantrill last night. But can you talk a little bit about some of the pitching that the Cleveland baseball team has been doing to actually set them up on this attempt to possibly make a postseason run?
Well, I mean, it's one thing to mention as far as injuries, and I've been a little bit out of the loop the past few days just from the some of the Zoom. We haven't had a lot, but we've had some updates with the injuries. So Sabali through a simulated game. I don't want to give the wrong day. It may have been yesterday, I think, in Akron. So he's looking to come back pretty soon. So that could kind of bolster their pitching. Bieber, that's kind of still up in the air. I don't really know what the plans are with him. He's eager to get back before the end of the year, but I don't see that happening as quickly, as Savali would. So, if Savali could come back, Tristan is looking really good. Cal, of course, is looking great. He had a great start again last night. He's been one of the most solid pieces in the rotation. Where they're struggling is the spot that Plesac, he's been a little up and down as well. He hasn't been as solid. And then we have that open spot that they're kind of used like as a bullpen fill-in day, which is where Sam Henches pitched last with that. And he had 4 strong innings, so he looked really good there. The team needed that after having Mejia held that spot for a while till they sent him down back to the Clippers. So if Henches can stay in that role on that, kind of bullpen style day, the other guys are, not looking that bad. So what did I run through those again? So that's Cal, Tristan, Plesac,
Eli Morgan.
Eli Morgan, yeah. And then the that bullpen day. So Monsoon Morgan is what I call him because when he started in that horrible hurricane weather day in Cleveland, but he does fairly well. So those 2 starts are always kind of Morgan's and then the bullpen day. So if those can become solid, I think the offense is always there. I love the addition with Miles Straw. He's been playing great offense. I like him in the leadoff spot. He does a good, even defensive for us in center field. So I don't know. They got a shot at it as long as that pitching holds together.
I was going to ask you, who was I about to ask you about? It was just on the tip of my tongue who I was going to ask you about. What about DJ? Why isn't DJ? Oh, no. Shane Bieber first. Shane Bieber. So I thought he was supposed to throw a simulated game as well within a week possibly too, just like Savali.
Yeah, as far as I know, it wasn't scheduled. Now, like I said, don't quote me on that. Like, I didn't know the exact date for Bieber. What we were told is Bieber was, I think, more eager himself to do it than I'm not sure if the trainer was actually, giving it the okay. So as far as I know, unless you're pulling up something different, I may have missed that part with all the injuries. But I know Savali actually had a scheduled one. I'm not aware that Bieber's was actually scheduled, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so you were talking about how you like Miles Straw. Do you
Yeah.
think that they have this outfield solidified? Because I kind of like to play a Daniel Johnson, especially what he provides offensively. Do you feel as if this outfield is solidified?
Yeah, I think it was missing like a veteran presence. Like DeMarlo said a real center fielder and within Miles Straw, and he said it in a way not to offend or diminish anyone else's abilities in center field, but the other guys we talk all season, they had kind of platooned all around, playing right field, left, center field, shortstop. So finally, you just get someone out there that that is their position. They play it well, and that is kind of, I agree with you, Rachel. It solidifies the outfield, and that's kind of been, one of the struggles throughout the season was getting all these positions solidified. Now with Bobby Bradley, out, then that's causing a little bit of the infield to kind of bounce around. But hopefully we'll get him back. He's able. I think the date to return has already passed from his 10-day stint on the IL. So hopefully we get Bradley back, and then we can Ernie Clement's kind of like utility for the infield. But yeah, I think with Daniel Johnson and Miles Straw and Zimmer, they have Mercado, they have the outfield pretty well set.
Do you ever know what Bobby Bradley's official diagnosis was? Do we ever know it was something with his knee? But did they really ever fully say?
Yeah, I don't believe there was anything torn with any of the imaging. So, what it was a strain. You've seen Bobby Bradley stretch on those plays, haven't you, Rachel?
Yeah. Oh my God, the way he does the splits.
Yeah, those splits, I was like, wow. I mean, I don't know. I could never do something. I literally, I don't know. I giggle every time he does those splits, but I always think he's going to get hurt, and I think it was just a strain from that. There wasn't anything that showed anything more severe. So they're just being cautious with him. He could have returned last week. So we did,
Oh,
check.
really?
Yeah, one of the pre-games. He was eligible to come off the IL, but DeMarlo said they just wanted to be a little bit, give him a little bit more time just to get some strength back there instead of pushing him.
Hi, Natalie. I finally got in so you can see me here, but
I told him to ask whatever he wants to.
Even though I'm optimistic about them going 28-12 over 40 games, I was looking on. I think it was CBS Sports earlier, where they have like a 0.1% chance of making the playoffs. Let's say, okay, they don't make the playoffs. What do you see next year as going on? Do you see them kind of blowing the team up, trading Jose, or do you see them kind of saying, okay, let's just go in with a healthy offseason and figure out who our 40-man roster is and go from there?
Yes, and I do love your optimism, actually, because I'm always that way, so I appreciate that. But yeah, I would say for next year, I don't see them getting rid of Jose. Now, I know a lot of people probably would differ with that, but I would think that they would keep Jose and Bieber, and with that, the young talent that they've brought up and that we've worked hard, we've seen them grow through this season, and that strength, added with what we already have, I think that they, would definitely lead the division, when healthy, because without all these injuries, I think they would have already been a contender, definitely for the wild card, or at least so. I do blame it solely on the injuries this year. So without those injuries, I agree with you. As long as they keep Jose, and because that would kind of break my heart if they didn't. I think they were looking really, really strong.
Yeah, I was one of those people who believed that, the Frankie trade. I mean, of course, it was a significant trade because he was like one of the best shortstops in the league. But I felt like Jose was a better producer for the team than he was. So I'm just like you. I feel like if they trade him, it'll be. I think that might break my heart a little bit more than when Lindor left.
Yeah, I know we can't even get into that with Rachel probably because I don't think she's still over Lindor leaving. But I told her, that it was okay because we were going to be better off in the long run without Frankie because he kind of checked out a few years ago. I felt so with Jose. I feel like he is, just a master at his craft. I mean, he sits at the end of that dugout and watches every pitch that's thrown, and shares that information with the rest of the team. And not to diminish what Frankie was, but what with Jose, I just think that would be a way bigger blow to the team. So I hope that, with his contract and what they'd be able to keep him for, that they would.
Yeah. Yeah, now we got to take a break really quickly, okay? So we'll keep you for a few minutes if that's okay.
Sure.
All right. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Hey, King.
Like to carry stress, pain, feel alone, but you're in this alone. But no one understands. I see. And at the end of the day, it's okay to not be okay.
This message of hope is from the Alcohol, Drug, Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board of Cuyahoga County, the Suicide Prevention Coalition, and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station. Calling the community. WOVU 95.9 FM and Know Your Neighbors of Case Western Reserve University are teaming up to break down the invisible wall between University Circle and surrounding neighborhoods. We invite you to the Know Your Neighbors Community Palooza on Saturday, August 28th from 2 to 5 p.m. Located at East Bell Commons at the intersection of East Boulevard and Bellflower in University Circle. Don't miss performances from Dama Capella, Mad Jacks, Kevin Conwell and the Footprints, and Case Kismat. For more information, contact knowyourneighborscwru@gmail.com. knowyourneighborscwru@gmail.com. And check their Instagram and Facebook pages for any updates. Saturday, August 28th from 2 to 5 p.m. The Know Your Neighbors Community Palooza is brought to you by Know Your Neighbors of Case Western Reserve University and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady Sports, and I am here with Mr. Marshawn Powers, and we are here with Ms. Natalie Turk of Sports Illustrated. She is the Cleveland baseball team beat writer, and Willie Epstein Jr. from the Shape Back Sports Show just weighed in and said that the Cleveland Indians can build a team around Jose Ramirez, and I feel that we don't have a choice at this point. He is the player, he is the guy. And then, on Friday, I mean, pretty much it was his offense that enabled us to be able to win the games because he had those home runs that had some RBIs attached to him. So I don't really feel that that Cleveland baseball team has a choice as far as who they're going to build that team around. And they know exactly who it is because he is the one that's producing. Nat, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, definitely agree with Willie, that they can easily, build around Jose. And that's kind of what I was saying when we were getting cut off toward the end. And, we were talking a bit about Lindor. And you and we talked about this since the beginning, but Jose is just such a solid, piece to that. And he does give it his all. And he is just, so many things that Jose could bring that I could talk the whole show about that I just really feel offensively. And like I said, I watch him a lot, the way he talks to the young hitters. He lets them know what the pitchers, what he sees from the pitcher. Whenever he does hit one out of the park, he comes right in and, kind of relays the information to the team. So he's just such a good asset, I think, to have all the way around. And, I agree with your co-host again. I'm sorry, you have to remind me. Marshawn, yes, I'm Nan. So anyway, Marshawn, I would be just that. I'd be like Rachel was if Lindor left. You know, when Lindor left, if they got rid of Jose, not only for personal reasons, but because I feel like he's like the heart of the team, who we can build around. So if we lose him, I almost feel like that's throwing in the towel on the team. So I would be very disappointed, beyond disappointed.
No, same here. I definitely would. I mean, I guess it seemed like this season for a second they were high on Owen Miller. I think that's his name.
Owen Miller, yeah.
They were kind of high on him and wanted to sneak him in, you know, a few days, give Jose some days at DH, but it just don't seem right. You know, it seems like when Jose's out there, the swagger of the team is a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, you have, if I'm not mistaken, you have, oh man, that plays DH.
Franmil
Reyes, yeah. Franmil Reyes plays better. You know, right behind him, so it just would be.
Yeah, if Jose can get on base, you're right.
It would be hard.
Yeah, and he's not a Gold Glover by any stretch of the imagination, but he does well at defense. Exactly. so yeah, Jose would definitely be missed. But Nat, since we were at the game yesterday, I asked Marshawn. I told him that I want to get his perspective on the game yesterday from how it was done on ESPN compared to what our local coverage could be, and all of how Twitter was in a firestorm about the coverage, and none of it was focused on the Cleveland Indians, and none of it was focused on Cal Quantrill and actually the night that he had against the Los Angeles Angels. So Marshawn, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like from my point of view, when I was watching it, the focus was more on the little leaguers than it was actually on the game.
Okay.
You know, it was more of like, oh, you know, you got two MLB teams playing at a stadium where it's more overcasted by a little league tournament that's going on right now.
Okay.
You know, in my opinion, I felt like they should have talked a little bit more about the offense. You know, it was a lot more about, oh, we're struggling and our injuries and no Shane Bieber and know this and know that. And it wasn't anything positive. You know, I mean, it's funny because one of my buddies sent me like a little drinking game. I didn't do it, but it was anytime they brought up the Guardians that you had to take a sip, and oh man, I would have never made it today because that's the only thing they really talked about is like the whole future of the Indians instead of talking about the now. It wasn't that good. I'll tell you this, I would have rather watched it on Bally Sports than watched it on ESPN because it wasn't that good.
So do you think that it's because the Indians are kind of out of it right now, but do you think that it should have been kind of like your approach that if the Indians do X, Y, and Z, they can possibly make it? Putting in that they still could have some postseason, postseason hopes because of the way they're pitching and hitting right now. We realize, the Angels are about a 500 team too, but, they swept the Angels as well. And sweeping the baseball team, no matter how bad they are, is a hard thing to do. What about the talk about Shohei Ohtani?
I think that was more of the talk then. I mean, one thing is crazy they didn't talk about is like Shohei was like, I think 2 for 10 or 2 for 9 going into that yesterday's game.
So he started the game off with a hit.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they tried to make the Angels as more of the bigger team, and the Indians like the minor league team, if you want to if that makes sense, instead of it being like the Indians. I mean, in my opinion, we're better than the Angels. I mean, the Angels have all these good players, but never really amount to anything. So I would have loved to see a little bit more respect given to us. That's it. I would have loved to be like, okay, a little sympathy. Okay, where they're down these guys, and their manager is out. It was just more of like, we don't care. The Angels are from LA, we're from Cleveland, and we're going to treat that as such.
How did Monet Davis do?
She did amazing. Okay. Honestly, she did. Man, I ain't gonna lie, I really was floored by how she did. From being in that position, she did really good.
So what did she do? Did she do color commentary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw her yesterday. We didn't get a chance to talk to her. Willie Epstein said Shohei is ridiculous. How can a player with 40 dingers and 8 wins as a pitcher not be the MVP?
I don't understand it. I think, man, my opinion, I think Shohei should, as much as I don't really care too much for the ridiculous MLB contracts, I think he should set the market for what multi-positional players should be.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, if you're pitching and hitting well,
isn't he the only one? I mean, other than pitchers in the National League.
Yep.
I mean, great at what he does, yeah. Because I mean, there was an article that was talking about other guys. Like apparently, Madison Bumgarner is pretty average at it. Like they gave him the proper opportunities to do it. I remember CC was saying on his podcast that, you know, if they let him do it, he probably would have been able to hit about 15 a season, which I don't know about
God.
that. Come on now.
It's funny. Maybe he was joking around. That was cute.
But I personally said it once he you know, broke out this year, I automatically was like, oh, he's gonna set the trend for the next contract. Like, I don't think like how Mike Trout got, I think almost 500. Mike Trout's his contract is gonna be nothing compared to Shu. I think Shui's gonna get north of 650, maybe 700.
Oh my God!
I think he's gonna break records.
Oh my God! So George said they made the halos bigger because of ESPN. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Ohtani, I think everybody's rooting for him.
Yeah.
Everybody likes a great feel-good story.
Yeah.
And I think Shohei Ohtani is that. I mean, I wasn't rooting for him against the Indians, but you could just see how excited the kids were, you know, when he hit a ball and, you know, they were chanting his name and all that other stuff. But the Angels suck, so they weren't able to do much of anything, you know, and they weren't very good. So, Nat, what do you think about what do you think about the chances versus the Texas Rangers coming to town? Because the Texas Rangers are very bad.
Yes, but okay, this happens every time. I'm like a kid to this team. I swear, because I covered them for my first year, this is why they have fell apart and they are not going to the postseason more than likely for the first time in forever, because I am now, you know, somehow correlated with the team. So now I jinx them every time. Realistically, going into this Texas Rangers, series, of course, the Cleveland baseball team has the upper hand, I believe. There shouldn't be any problem with that. That being said, I always feel like they play worse against, worse teams. So, if they're struggling, with Detroit or Baltimore, anyone that's, even the Twins, like there's, I don't know why it seems like they play so poorly against teams that are struggling. So if a team is struggling, well, just come on down to Progressive Field, because that's where you're going to turn your whole season around, because they'll just run in there and, the Rangers will sweep us some odd way. I don't know how that always seems to play out, but hopefully it does not this time. They get the momentum, get 2 out of 3 at least, or sweep the Rangers, and then, maybe that leads in. I'm not even that worried about the Red Sox, to be honest. I think that they can still do it. I believe they can beat any team on any day. It's just that day and, what transpires. So it's baseball, and, until that final out's out, they play hard for most of the time. So I believe absolutely that, our chances are really good looking at Texas. And I love to hear the thought about the commentary also, since we were there, I didn't really, I didn't know how it was being perceived. So good to know on that end.
But one question for both of you guys. So there's one thing I noticed when I think it was Amer Rosario that hit the 2-run homer yesterday.
Yeah,
So when he hit the homer, maybe it was something I noticed. Was there like kind of not really an excitement to it there? Because when he hit it, it was kind of like, oh, okay. Because nobody, I mean, from watching on TV, it doesn't seem like nobody was excited.
The Indians bullpen was.
That's really all that matters. No, it doesn't seem like. No, I guarantee you, Shohei would have hit a homer, that whole stadium would have went crazy. But because it was somebody that ain't really known, who's actually I think Amer Rosario is a really good player. He can play both outfield and infield, and for him to hit the 2-run homer and nobody really flinched, it was a little odd. Something I noticed.
You're right. I noticed it myself. I kept asking Rachel, who do you think the kids like more? Because I was trying to gauge the kids' reaction because, yeah, they were excited to see a home run. So there was a little bit of like, yay. But you're right. If Ohtani would have hit a home run, that place probably would have, fell to the ground with excitement from those kids. So they were happy to see a home run hit, but it wasn't to the level, it would have been. I don't think, a lot of the kids probably know Rosario, that well, his name. So I was excited that he came out the gate and hit it, but not so much. You're right. The field was very, subdued with that, but at least, they didn't even score a run. So, I mean, that's why I love being a Cleveland fan because, we're always, dismissed and we're always, the underdogs. And so I enjoy that part. So the national media can, say what they want, except for the Browns are starting to gain a lot of respect. But whatever. I like the fact that, they don't really talk that much about the Cleveland baseball team, and then they sweep the Angels. So kind of worked out in our favor.
Yeah. Well, Nat, I want to thank you so much for your insight and everything else. Going on the trip with you was an awesome opportunity. Being able to see that game was a great thing. People pretty much dream of going to the Little League World Series, even if you're not going to be able to play there. And I'm glad that we had that opportunity there to catch a regular season game there. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for your insight today. And we're going to go ahead and take a break. Nat, thank you so much. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We will be right back.
Dollars each year to positive, impactful organizations that serve you and your community. And now it's time to put the money where your mouth is. So we're introducing Lift Every Voice, a platform created to hear directly from you. We want to know what's important to you and what's important for your community, so St. Luke's Foundation can put all these millions in all the right places. And sharing your voice is easy to do. Go to lev216.org and sign up for the Lift Every Voice email and text updates. It's completely anonymous and totally free, and your voice will impact where, why, and how St. Luke's Foundation spreads that monetary love. Head over to lev216.org and sign up now to help lift every voice in our community. This message is brought to you by St. Luke's Foundation and WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
Life is getting back on track, and you can too. If you or your family have experienced financial hardship as a result of COVID-19, Tri-C can help with tuition assistance. Safely get the in-demand degree or training you need with online and on-campus classes. Go to tri-c.edu to check out our programs and resources. So, what are you waiting for? Register now for fall classes. Tri-C is where futures begin.
This message is brought to you by Tri-C and WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle, WOVU and 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports. And in studio with me, I got Mr. Marshawn Powers. And remember, you can always listen to us live online at WOVU.org. You can always give us a call to talk some sports at 216-271-0959. And we always encourage you to download that WOVU app so you can take us with you on the go and listen to your favorite personalities all the time. So we're going to talk some NFL football. So with each preseason game, we are getting closer and closer and closer to the regular season. So remember, we only had 3 preseason games. So we had 3 weeks of games. And normally it was 4 weeks. I mean, eventually we're going to go down to just 2 preseason games and 18 total games, in which those 2 are just going to be the dress rehearsals. And I'm with it because to me, but you know what? I think last year, after we saw what happened with COVID, we saw how valuable preseason was because everybody was hurt. because there was no preseason, right? They just started playing games.
And you know what that's going to probably end up pushing more inter squad practices where you got, like, for instance, the Giants came to Cleveland last year. We were supposed to go to New York or something. No, we were supposed to go to Minnesota last year.
Yeah.
So that's what you're going to end up seeing.
But we've been doing that, though, haven't we? Yeah. Having scrimmages and stuff like that. Because I remember back in the day in the early 2000s going to a scrimmage versus Buffalo. Oh, wow. But it wasn't like there was no, there was no sacking the quarterback. There was, like, no tackling or anything like that. And I was like, this is the most boring thing I've paid $8 for, like, in my life. So I was like, I definitely don't want to come to something like this ever again. But yesterday, the Cleveland Browns were able to get the victory 13-13, I believe, over the New York Giants. And what were some of your thoughts about what you observed from this team overall? Because coming out of this game, we do have some injuries. Just not too long before the show dropped, there is a significant injury to Cody Parkey, who he might be done for the season. And we talked about this last week. But for me, one of the things that I keep my eye out, like Jim Tressler, is special teams. And we already have special teams issues, especially when it comes to returning the ball, on punts and kickoffs. We already struggle with that. But this is now our kicker. So, the Browns, I think they maybe played 5 games last year in which they won by 3 points. And we know how important the kicking game is. Can you talk about that and how that could be affected with that Cody Parkey injury? How big of an injury is it to you, first and foremost? And can you elaborate on that?
A lot of my friends weren't really, a lot of people I know that associated with football weren't really high on Cody Parkey, honestly. So this injury really is like ineffective. Chase McLaughlin has a strong leg. So I already think maybe the Browns had their mindset. Now, I ain't gonna say they had their mindset on losing Cody Parkey for the season, but I feel like this. If you're bringing in, there's certain teams where a kicker's job is safe. Baltimore, Kansas City, Denver, things of that nature, by the Browns bringing in Chase McLaughlin, that already told me early that, Cody Parkey's job wasn't safe. So for him to be able to get injured, one of my mentors, Mark Gray, always tell me your best ability is availability. And if he's not available, then they're going to go on with Chase McLaughlin, who's, I haven't heard anything bad about him, been lighting it up in training camp and in preseason. Had a 49-yard field goal yesterday. And First Energy Stadium is one of the hardest stadiums to kick in, and he made a 49-yarder look like it was a 23-yarder. So I think they'll be fine with Chase McLaughlin. Honestly, I'm speaking prematurely, but last year he was with the Jets and Kansas City, I believe.
Was that field goal down the middle of the pike?
Middle. As soon as it went through, curved a little bit. It was actually a perfect field goal to me, And then we always have Phil Dawson in our back pocket, who is like the math scientist.
Oh my God.
I'm not gonna say we're gonna call him off. We're gonna call him off the couch, but he's always mentoring a lot of these kids that's able to, understand, like, okay, when it's really bad on windy days, what part of the stadium should you be, aiming for? You got to look at weather reports for this, and that. Like, I was floored when I found out Phil Dawson looks at weather reports to determine how he's going to kick field goals on windy days. But I think Chase McLaughlin is going to be okay, especially you kicking in New York last year, and he was pretty good up there. So, if Cody is out for a significant amount of time, the buck don't stop. We got games to win.
78.6%.
That's not bad.
That's a C. A C plus. Like an A minus.
Oh my goodness. So okay. Can we? I know we ain't gonna trade for a kicker. That's ridiculous. But I think we can make him a B. I think Mike. I like our special teams coordinator. So I think he can. Listen, Cody Parkey, before he came to Cleveland, what happened? What was the last thing you remembered about him?
Didn't he miss a field goal
in Chicago?
Yeah.
And probably can never eat at another pizza spot in Chicago ever again.
No deep dish for you.
No, nothing for him. He came here and, he gave us a heart attack a few times, but he still showed up when we needed him to. So I think we can get some more greatness out of Chase McLaughlin. I trust what Mike Pfeiffer got. I trust him. You know, because if you could do something with Cody Parkey, who missed in Chicago, pretty sure you could do something with Chase McLaughlin.
Okay, this is where how important offensive execution is going to be, so you don't need your kicker.
Yeah.
This is how important this offense, these ones we ain't been able to see out here. This is how important Kareem Hunt is going to be, you know, on those third down conversions, you know, Kareem and Nick and, you know, the receivers. Now these special positions is going to be uber important.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what else to say. Thank God we have the punting solidified. You know, Jamie didn't have to do a lot anyway last year.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be very important that you execute, you know, offensively to not need your kicker as little as possible.
I tell you this, if I'm Coach Stefanski, at the end, well, training camp is kind of over. It's almost at the end, but I mean, for these last few weeks before week 1 starts, I'm definitely, you know, adding in some extra 2-point practices that just in case, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just in
absolutely.
case.
George said they need to sign a kicker and sign one fast.
I mean, who's available? Who's out there?
Only
there's one person. I tell you this. I'm not the biggest YouTuber, but there's a guy. His name is Destroying. He's like a famous YouTube guy. He can kick. He's got the stamp of approval from, you know, a lot of NFL guys. He's even got the stamp of approval from my guy that has he's on ESPN, but he has his own show. He used to be the punter for the Colts.
Oh, not Vinatieri.
No.
Yeah, you said punter.
Pat McAfee.
Okay.
So you got the stamp of approval from Pat McAfee, I like Pat McAfee, but
the virus guy.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie. Hopefully, somebody that knows Pat is listening. I would love to hang with Pat McAfee for one day.
Mike Nugent is a free agent. Yeah, he's 39
That's
though.
old leg.
Yeah,
that's almost like going back and getting. What was the guy that used to kick for Atlanta back in the day? Morton Anderson. That's almost like going to Morton Anderson route. You know, you need a young leg.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, if the Browns really, really feel like they don't have the kicker, that Destroying guy, I would definitely give him a try. This dude is doing trick 58 yarders, 60 yarders, no problem. Granted, you know, you're doing it in an empty stadium.
Yeah.
But I mean, what do you have to lose at this point?
Would you bring Austin Cyber back? Because Austin Cyber might get cut from.
No.
Okay.
No. I'm one of the people that believe once you leave a job, there's no coming back. I wouldn't go back.
Well, there's enough money.
Oh yeah.
And we talking about professional sports now. It's a little different now.
Who's came back though? Who's left and ever came back to the Browns that you can remember?
Well, it was the old Browns, so nobody came back there.
Well, now I don't know. Now maybe.
I always wonder what would happen if Joe Thomas gave it like 2 more years.
I think Joe.
He was done.
Yeah,
he said it hurt to get out of bed.
Yeah, I think once Joe had that one, because you know Joe already was dealing with bad losses, but once he had that one injury, where he had a few injuries back to back, but the significant injury with his bicep, I think he kind of was like, "Yeah, I'm done."
Yeah, and his streak was over, the Iron Man streak.
Yeah, I don't think Joe really got it in him anymore.
Yeah, so this kicking situation a little scary. If this team wasn't as good as it was, but you still gonna need your place kicker. You're still gonna need that. So I'm a little worried about that. You know what could happen because we just see how important. You know there are going to be games in which the Browns are going to play teams very close. So field goal and field kicking and place kicking is going to be very important. And I don't know, man. Did he get hurt on the kick?
No, he didn't even play yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, worst word in the word, there's plenty of practice squad places. So I mean, if it gets too bad, Browns throw a person on the practice squad. I don't think they brought in. I haven't got any news this week that they brought in the extra kicker to challenge McLaughlin. So maybe they trust McLaughlin. If not, I'm sure that they'll bring in an extra kicker. I mean, it was a few years ago. I remember I wanted them to get Matt Prater. We wouldn't even be in this position if we had Matt. I like Matt Prater. I think he was a pretty good kicker. I don't know why, but
Nate said he liked Pat's NFL coverage than WWE's.
Pat, okay.
He did.
Pat is just crazy. Pat took a couple headshots on special teams and just kind of got crazy. But I like watching this show. But AJ Hawk on it and all like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a break really quickly, and then we're going to get into what actually happened during the game yesterday and how these twos were looking and who we think might make the team and who possibly will get cut, which they already doing cuts now, releasing players as it is. But we'll be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU on 95.9 FM, and we will be right back.
I want you to know that I need you to live. You were created for a purpose. You were created for destiny. And no matter what you're going through, the pain that we are experiencing in our lives, all acts of you are not given purpose. I am telling you that I want to see you live because your story will inspire me.
This message of hope is from the Alcohol, Drug, Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board of Cuyahoga County, the Suicide Prevention Coalition, and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
Are you a renter in Cleveland and facing eviction? WOVU 95.9 FM, the United Way of Greater Cleveland, and the Legal Aid Society wants you to know that you have rights. Certain Cleveland families have the right to an attorney in eviction cases. If you rent your home in Cleveland, have any kids living in that home, and meet low-income guidelines, free help is available. If you think you qualify, contact Legal Aid immediately at 216-687-1900. That's 216-687-1900. You can also apply by dialing 211 on your phone. After a quick screening, you'll know if you can get a lawyer's help for free. Learn more at freeevictionhelp.org. That's freeevictionhelp.org. This message is brought to you by the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland, the United Way of Greater Cleveland, and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
An Ohio State game, because I could watch an Ohio State or Maryland game anytime than miss a Browns game.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to WOVU 95.9 FM, Her in the Huddle. You are listening to us. So George said when the waiver wire goes cycle, that's when you get the player kicker. So, all right, George has some solutions to how we're going to get that problem taken care of. But I wasn't able to watch the game yesterday because we were traveling on the road. So I want to get Marshawn's thoughts about how this offense looked to you yesterday. What players stood out, and which players do you think possibly have solidified a spot on this team?
I think Dearness Johnson solidified it because going into it, I was a little confused on them drafting Demetric Felton, and then how would that impact Dearness Johnson still being that third back, because I think Dearness Johnson is like, not calling him this player, but he has the same traits as a Alvin Kamara. I see it. So I think he definitely solidified his play yesterday with having 34 yards on the ground yesterday. And then another guy behind him, Joe Kelly, I think that he solidified him practice squad. That dude ran like a madman. I seen him back there. No fullback, just running straight to the outside, running like a mad animal. Another guy who I didn't think that would make it, probably would make the practice squad, was Richard LeCount. I think he definitely solidified himself in that safety room, a loaded safety room at that. I think he's definitely going to be a rotational piece because, if I'm not mistaken, he got a pick last week in the game. He got a pick this week in the game, and made some good plays this weekend. The practice against the Giants. But one thing I definitely want to ask you, did you see that fight?
No, I did not.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I saw the pictures from the fight. I saw the picture. So it was a real fight because people was like, it was looking like it was staged. But does anybody know what caused the fight? And George said, when's the last time the Browns have had a good problem? Meaning their tough decisions coming down the road. We have been living in a myriad of losing, and this is something we're not used to as a ball club. You had to go back to the 80s when I had this good teams. Hey, some of us were alive in the 80s, George, but we ain't going to sit there and date ourselves all like that. But, yeah, definitely, having good problems. Richard LeCount, I like Richard LeCount. He did some good things in that very first game that we got a chance to see. Because is he an LSU boy too?
No, he's a Georgia guy.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, he did some great things. So does anybody know what the fight was about in the first place?
I seen a video, like, I want to say it may have been from that same practice where, they weren't padded, they just had on shells, and Shepard had caught a pass, and Troy Hill came in like he was about to lay the hammer on him. No pads on, so I can understand maybe Shepard's mind, like, yo, man, we out here just in shells, helmets, jerseys, take it easy, lighten up a little bit. When Troy Hill is in that dog mentality, like every day we going to war, every day we gonna practice hard. Like, I'm trying to win a Super Bowl, so I think Shep took offense to it, and they maybe brought it up at the end of practice, and
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things is Kevin Stefanski wants them to always be competitive.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been catching a little bit of Building the Browns, but Building the Browns, they show that, even before they walk into the facility, right before they end the day, practice for the day, there's a competition, whether or not it's like flipping a bottle around to see what it's going to do or something else that they do. He was like, I want them to always be in competitive mode and everything is a competition. So that's the time. That's how they building this team. It's about winning. I wouldn't say winning at all costs, but it's about recognizing what you did coming off the end of the season, how you almost knocked off the Super Bowl champs and, made it to the AFC title game. And I think they would have beat Buffalo, but that's besides the point. But you almost made it to the AFC title game, one stop before the Super Bowl, never stopped competing. So I think that they're getting them in that game mode, like you said. And I mean, how can you take offense because you're supposed to be a competitor too? What is your team trying to do? I'm expecting you to be as amped and hyped trying to do this as I am. So what are you doing out here?
Well, Shepard is prone to concussions. Like, this kid has had many concussions. So you hit him the wrong way, he's guaranteed to be out 5-6 games, in my opinion. So I think he probably just trying to take care of his body, which if that's the case, then why you practicing?
Yeah.
If you come into a dog, I call it, once you step in Berea, you step in a dog kennel.
You come into a dog fight.
You stepping into a dog fight. So if you come in to be soft, then don't go to Berea. You could have stayed in New Jersey.
Because baby, this the old Browns, okay?
We ain't about that soft stuff here. We ain't about that play.
This the old Browns. Yeah. And the old Browns, you could have got that because people here was for a check. They don't care. These dogs care.
We hit. I've seen them. Just the blocks. They were going for a 2-point when they scored. When the Giants scored, it was 13. It was 14.
13.
13 Giants. Yeah. And man, I forget who it was that gave up. He gave up like a pass interference and a face mask on one play. So they gave the Giants the ball on the 1-yard line. What did them Browns do? Shut it down. No 2-point conversion for you. So you see it, man. You see it with the second and third string. I'm just ready to see it with these first stringers. Yeah. I'm so ready. I'm at the point, I've seen enough preseason. Now I'm ready to see my starters out there. I'm ready to see Odell running the shadow right crossing pattern and get open. I'm ready to see Chubb. I'm ready to see Greedy. And I mean, I was speaking
are you ever going to be able to see Greedy?
Yeah, I think. I mean, Greedy so far. I want to say a week ago, Greedy had a good week. He was with the Building of the Browns. He was with the rookie and told him, like, if you get an interception, practice over today. What did Newsom do? Get an interception on the Giants. Practice was over for the day. So I tell you this, man. I told a friend that I just can't see myself paying like $300 to go to a Browns game this year.
That's how much they cost?
Yeah, around that price. And I'm sticking by that. I'm until the Browns give me a Super Bowl, then we can have that conversation, because that's why I got into this field, to never have to pay those ridiculous amounts, on tickets. But I'm honestly going to have to figure out a way to get down to a game this year and feel that electricity, man. It's going to be ridiculous this year. I'm so excited about this team.
Maybe
we're gonna get to my expectations in a couple weeks. I got high expectations for this team, but I'm just ready. I'm ready.
Sometimes you got to go on the road, man. Going into Pittsburgh, going into Heinz Field, because it's Browns fans everywhere, and that's the thing. The Browns backers is one of the second largest organization compared to the Dallas Cowboys, which I can't stand. I still don't understand. And Jim Rome said, we America's team now. So you see, we travel just like Ohio State fans will travel. And just think about all the people from Cleveland who live in these places. But you really want to go into the opponent's lair, man, because unlike tickets to the Kansas City game, only not tickets, but plane tickets is only $175 round trip. So just to even be in that atmosphere, because it's gonna be crazy. Because I used to root for Kansas City, man, until you know they beat the Browns. So I mean, I rooted for them against San Fran in the Super Bowl, and I kind of rooted for them too because I hate Tom Brady. So I rooted for them again.
In the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
last year? Oh,
I was because I hate Tom Brady. So it's not like a hardcore, but I'm like, okay, I'm cool if they win. You know what I'm saying?
Rachel, let me tell you one quick thing before we go. There's 3 people you don't bet against in life: God, LeBron James, and Tom Brady. I don't care what you do. Never bet against these 3 people in life.
Yeah, man. I mean, unfortunately, LeBron.
I don't know. I might bet against LeBron this year, though. We get to that later, but I might bet against him this year.
George got a great question. He said, I know it's Monday, but against Atlanta, do you see the starters at least one quarter on Sunday?
Nope.
So do you look at that as possibly crazy, not playing the starters, not even playing them for a down going into Kansas City?
Nope. I feel like if Stefanski is going to stand by what he believes, last year we didn't practice, we didn't play a game, and we went out and went well. And also with all these injuries going on with Jacob Phillips and Mac Wilson dinged up, and I don't think you can really chance it, because that 17th game is maybe a difference maker. That added extra regular season game. Who knows? I say the Browns are going 13-4, but it's only the Browns to be the Browns that may mess around and go like 11-5, 11-6 or something and go from there.
Who your 4 losses?
You're not gonna like this. 4 losses are Kansas City. I definitely don't think we're going. I don't think the defense is gonna be ready in week 1. New England. I still think Bill Belichick got this thing on us.
New England.
Until I see it, I gotta believe it. Baltimore and
Green Bay.
I'm gonna say Green Bay. I'm gonna say Green Bay.
That's who I had.
That's Christmas. That's Christmas, and I don't know how we gonna react up in that frozen tundra.
That's unfair of us to have that game on Christmas up there, but that's who I had. I had 14-3, which I had us beating New England, but I had us possibly losing to KC, possibly losing to Green Bay, and a loss to Baltimore because this team struggles to figure out. But I finally figured it out why we playing Kansas City on opening day. Because the NFL has us set up to play them in the AFC title game as a rematch in AFC title game. I think that the NFL thinks is going to happen, and we're going to play them in the AFC title game.
In Kansas City?
In Kansas City? I don't know. I can't.
That would be terrible, man.
Yeah, I can't answer that because it all depends on how Kansas City do. But I think the NFL has that game slated first because it's going to be a matchup.
Okay.
That's what I'm predicting right there.
Oh, man, my favorite quarterback versus my favorite team. That's gonna be a fun one.
Your favorite quarterback, Pat Mahomes? How he your favorite quarterback, man?
I like Pat. Pat is a wizard.
Man, forget Pat.
I like Pat.
Ain't nobody thinking about Patrick Mahomes. And when he went down, the Cleveland Browns should have won that game flat out.
Absolutely.
Flat out. I'm still mad about that.
That's gonna be a game of the ages because we got the better. They have the top players, but we have the better overall team. So I'm willing to see what we can do as our team. If our team comes together, because I've seen some holes in the wall at Kansas City this weekend when they faced the Cardinals.
Okay. Did they win it?
They won. They won, but I seen Pat Mahomes looking like the Super Bowl again, running around with his like a chicken with his head cut off.
Okay, I'm liking that. Okay.
So, if we throw Jadeveon, Big Malik Jackson, and Big Miles out there, I think he might be running on week 1 too. So if that happens, we're gonna win. If he can pass it around and obliterate our tight ends again, might be a long day. All
right. Well, Marshawn, I appreciate you stepping in for Cleveland Kate today on Monday. This is your girl, Rachel Hill. You are listening to her and on WOVU 95.9 FM, and we are out of here. Thank you so much